Shafak Mohammed, leader of the Lib Dems in Sheffield, is with me now. Shafak, morning. It sounds like a new era of cooperation. So why aren't you cooperating?
Well, Steve, it was never about cabinet positions for me. It was always about policy. And I have to say, in all the discussions I've had, it all focused on who was going to sit around the cabinet table and how many seats would people have. And I said to them, this is akin to all of us walking outside the town hall, looking at a nice shiny car, and all then starting to discuss and argue amongst ourselves who can sit where, without realising, is there a steering wheel for this car? I.e., do we have any policy agreement to go forward? And more importantly, have we actually outlined any red lines, i.e. the handbrake for this car? And at the moment, I don't know if you've seen the agreement, Steve, it's 1 page long. It's wafer thin. And you know what? I share some of the kind of concerns that Green Party members share that have been outlined by Liz there. That we're trying to run the fourth largest council in England here. And what I wanted was, what are the key policy drivers that they wanted to do? And unfortunately, I have to be honest with you, I put my options forward, 4 key options. One was about how do we protect businesses going forward and have no more local taxation on them, etc. How do we actually give power back to our communities? And I actually had detailed plans. Unfortunately, neither the Greens and Labour came forward with any plan. And can I just put to bed one issue that's been bandied around since yesterday, that somehow I walked away from the talks? Sorry, I didn't walk away from any talks. But what did happen is that the Greens and Labour decided to have discussions in parallel, which we weren't involved in. And we were sat waiting for them to come forward with plans. And ultimately what they said was, we've agreed a plan. We're happy if you want to join us as well. But unfortunately, I didn't see the plan until the chief exec of the council sent it me yesterday evening. So
you saying you would have been you saying you would have been open to discussions and you would have been party to potentially joining this coalition? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I said to both the Greens and in particular, I want to know what your key policies and priorities. And to be honest with you, we could have also run this council with the Greens. The numbers were there for us. And you only have to look at the number of councillors Labour got. They are short of overall majority. So us and the Greens could have gone into a coalition. And let's be honest, this is a coalition. Call it whatever you want. If it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And this kind of cooperative arrangement, it's a coalition between the Greens and Labour. And let them just be honest and call it what it is. Going forward, this is wafer thin on policy. And to be honest with you, if I was a business owner in Sheffield, would I be waking up to know what this city council and this new coalition agreement between the Greens and Labour means to them? Does it mean that there'll be a workplace parking levy? I don't know, because the Greens haven't spelled that out, or Labour. Will there be a return to the congestion charge? I don't know. Will communities get £700,000 each like I wanted? Because I don't know, because neither the party came forward with any policy ideas. They were just more interested in who sat where around which cabinet table, and who got what portfolio. And I said to them, I wasn't interested in structures. I was interested in the policy priorities for the people of Sheffield, and that's what I'm going to concentrate on.
So that must be what you would have been expecting out of the first meeting, though, isn't it? Those kind of things to be discussed.
I can tell you now, I spent two long days, including last Thursday, and those of you that might know, was the Muslim festival of Eid. So while my family and my mother was outside in the garden celebrating Eid, I was sat in my front room negotiating and trying to get the Green Party representatives, Alison Teal and Douglas, and Terry Fox, to start talking about policy rather than actually talking about structures. Because I simply said to them on the Friday, after 2 exhaustive days, look, I'm not going to talk about structures anymore. Can we actually move to policy priorities? What's important for you and what's your red lines? And you know what happened, Steve? Within 10 minutes, I got Douglas Johnson saying, Shafak, would you mind if us and Terry had a conversation and we'll call you back in? And that's what happened. And then an hour and 45 minutes later, Steve, I got called back in and I had a brief chat with both of them. And that's how negotiations go. So sorry if people think that I walked away. I didn't. But if people decide to have parallel meetings, that's fine. I knew they were happening, by the way, Steve, so I wasn't that naive.
And they're going to need a bit of time as well. What role do you see the Lib Dems playing now then, Shafak? I mean, you're effectively on the outside trying to get in. I mean, and you have the opportunity to be in and be part of it. What role are you going to play going forward?
Well, I'm going to play a constructive role in holding to account this new coalition administration in Sheffield. And yes, I want to see that tree inquiry, but I want it to be judge-led. And I want it to actually, I want both the Greens and Labour to sign up now to any recommendations that come out of that inquiry that we sign up to them. And I don't want it to be just a whitewash of appointing somebody locally and just saying, yeah, things didn't work out, did they? No, we want to learn real lessons so going forward we don't make the mistakes again. Similarly, I want real devolution backed by money and power. And neither of them have spelled out anything other than, yeah, it'd be nice to devolve power locally. Well, when we ran the council, Steve, we had community assemblies that gave real power to communities. So I'll be our constructive opposition where they get things right or they have ideas that we think are good, we will be supporting them. I do not have a problem. And moving to the committee system, listen, the first thing I ever did, Steve, when I came back as leader of the Lib Dems in 2016, my first notice of motion in June 2016 was to move to a committee system. It's a shame it's taken this long and cost a lot of money to get a referendum to move this council to where it is now.
They have said, the two parties have said, Shafak, and I will put this to them after it, just for clarity, they have said there is still a place for you at their table. What would need to happen for you to look at joining them?
Well, what needed to happen was for them to be spelling out clearly what their policy priorities were, and more importantly, what their red lines were. You know, they've just got into a car that's not got a steering wheel and not got a handbrake, and they're about to embark on a really, really important, destination, which is to improve the lives of people in Sheffield. I really don't know how they're going to do it because they don't have the policy framework behind it. You know, Steve, if you haven't seen it, I'll send it to Liz. It's a one-page document. When you consider other councils have got 7 times more detail than this city council, and we're one of the largest councils in England, it shows the lack of detail, lack of clarity, because people were more interested in seats around a cabinet table than actually policy priorities. That's what's going to be my focus.